Okay, I think we have a working live session now. So sorry for the late start today, guys. I had some tech stuff going on in between here, but now we're all set. Um, so we got some exciting stuff to cover today. Because we started a bit late, unfortunately, I won't be able to do this for the same amount of time I normally do, because we still have a student call later. But I certainly appreciate you guys being on here. Uh, Anybody that's hopped in, I see there's a few of you. Please say what's up. What's up to you guys? All right. So I'm just gonna let the Facebook group know. The faithful, awesome people in our group. It's over 600 of you now, and there's over 600 subscribed to the channel. So I appreciate that. All right. So again, just letting the group know. Okay. So we got some, again, as always, there's some things that, hey, St. Louis du Nord, good to see you on here. I'll just let the Facebook group know, so hopefully we'll get a few people that hop over from there. I'm relaxed today. We're on the couch. Got my favorite painting behind me. And, we're just going to sort of keep it nice and chill, but informative. So the main format when it comes to these things, which I'll be doing pretty much every week, is, I have a set, a couple questions that are I was prepared to answer getting into this. But if any of you have any questions that happen to be live and watching as I'm speaking, if any of you have questions, feel free to just chat them, and I will prioritize answering those questions over the questions that I had already prepared to answer going into them. So pretty cool. I think what I'm going to do as well, we're going to have some fun today. I'm going to get this going on my, we're going to go live on Instagram too. So let's do that. There we go. And all right, so that should be gravy as well. Second the connection. Get that can't tell if I'm live. I don't think I'm live on there yet. But again, okay, good question. How to open a call center overseas? Hey, St. Louis du Nord. Is that your name? Hey, Instagram. Hey guys, good to see you on here. We're live on here and then primarily on my YouTube channel, which is Call Center Cash. So if you want to just watch here or you want to watch on YouTube, feel free. But yeah, so St. Louis. I'm not sure what your first name is, but great question. How do you open a call center overseas? I'll definitely answer that. But before I do that, I just want to cover the questions on top of that I intended on answering tonight, especially since this is recorded, which is what to do to keep your clients happy, basically to increase your retention of clients that you've landed. What do you do when you plateau? In every business, there's a time where you might have a growth period and then all of a sudden you're stopped up for a bit. And then 3, how long does it take in general to land a client? Okay. Now, in general, St. Louis du Nord, St. Louis of the North. So I'll answer your question first. So how to open a call center overseas? Well, the first thing to do, if you want to obviously get the full breakdown on how to launch a call center, is good to invest in the course. One thing I can say is that, hey, Ruben, good to meet you, man. One thing that I can say is that outside of whatever it takes to register the company, can you tell me what country you're in overseas? Outside of what it takes to register the company, a lot of the dynamic of actually opening and functioning your call center are going to be similar. Okay, there's not going to be much different between opening and operating in the U.S. versus, or especially the Dominican Republic. Awesome. And you know what? Dominican Republic not all that far away, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily like overseas or across the pond. But one nice thing about the Dominican Republic that there's a good amount of English speakers there. There's a good amount of the time zone is basically the same, especially as some of the U.S. And there's a lot of people that understand the American culture. Now, that may not matter to you if you're in a situation where you don't care about your client being American. So the first thing you have to figure out, hey, Lauren, good to see you on there. First thing you got to figure out, Rubens, is not only if you're going to operate out of the Dominican Republic, which you don't have to, but also where your clients are going to be located. If they're located where you are in the DR, then great. If they're located, maybe in America, then great. But the first thing to do is to figure that out. And then outside of that, the steps are the same. Like you can watch, my previous videos, the things I'm going to answer outside of that are the same. And what it really comes down to is real simple. Got to get a phone system set up. Got to get somebody that's going to be taking calls, whether it's yourself, whether you white label it to a different company, or whether you hire agents yourself. If you're going to have American clients, then the one thing that they tend to be worried about when there are people outside the country that are taking calls for them is what is the quality of the connection, as well as what is the quality of the English that they're speaking. And so, as Lauren said, if Ruben can find bilingual receptionists, there's plenty of American companies that are looking for that, especially in certain states like Texas, parts of California. There's certain places, or Florida, there's certain places where it can be a real hotbed of businesses as well as people that, speak Spanish as well as English, and it can be very helpful. And then Lauren mentioned New York and New Jersey as well. I mean, there's a lot of Dominicans in New York and New Jersey, and there's a lot of industry that have a lot of international relations, such as import and export. Lauren, you're killing it with the gem. Lauren is one of the people that had taken the course and is in the program and has launched her own company and has gotten a bunch of clients as a result. And if you're interested in seeing her interview, that's on the channel as well. But yeah, the simple way to get started is the same way it would be anywhere else, right? You get the company registered in some way, get someone to take call, and have some type of software to answer the call, and then land clients. That's it. Anything outside of that, that's like in the course or, that I might talk about or, whatever, that's all just filling in the gap outside of those 4 very simple points, okay? There's a different person named Don. Okay. So Don, my name's Don. Good to meet you. How does the call center deliver on a customer platform or booking system? Would you get access to the system? I think what you're asking is if there's a situation where you need to book an appointment on behalf of a certain company that's a client of yours. Say you got which I had for a while, cleaning companies, and you want to book, like your agents are going to be booking appointments for potential clients of the cleaning company. There are 2 ways in which to do it. One is either to go into the system, meaning you ask them to provide you with a username and password, and then the other option, for some reason my iPhone keeps going down here, but the other option is to not be logged into the system, which is called backend access. You can either have backend access, which we did when we started. We did it for about 10 months. St. Louis, I'm going to type in my email address for you. since you're asking for it. Callcentercash.com. You could also do Donald at callcentercash.com. So either of those work, they get straight to me. Okay. This Instagram thing, I'm just going to close that. Now, as far as, booking again, you can either do it through getting access to the backend with the username and password, which at first it can be very helpful to your clients and they'll appreciate it. But if you start having a bunch of different clients in different industries, it gets very difficult to keep up with it. The main reason being, like there's different systems that have different interfaces, and every single one of your agents that are dealing with all of those different systems have to remember more. They have to know how to navigate them. They might require training on all of these systems, especially in the new agents that you have coming on. The training process and onboarding for them is way harder and difficult. And, the main thing to know is that when an agent is taking calls, you need them to be able to take call and then navigate the computer to help out the caller in a way that still keeps the interaction smooth and is actually valuable and helpful to the caller. So if the agent is using a lot of brain power in terms of like remembering how to navigate a system they don't use very often, right after doing a completely different system on the very last call and then doing a completely different system on the next call, they might get it done. And they might be competent enough and awesome enough as an agent to do a solid job and still appear to be smooth and helpful on just about every call. However, what will happen is that their mental energy or like their brain processing power is going to drain a lot more quickly over the course of the day. Okay. Say, one day versus, 5 days a week versus, 50 weeks a year. What's going to happen is, the more processing power and mental energy and thinking that person had to do in order to do their job, the more tired and sort of bogged down they're going to be in that job. And some people enjoy a challenge, but at the end of the day, unless their job is changing, which it doesn't change very often unless they're promoted, doing a crap load of mental work day in and day out, just so that you can have back-end assets, is a great way to lessen the agent retention that you have, which means you're hiring people and you have less continuity of service, of quality of service with your current client. So of the two things, like ways that you can deliver on a customer platform, one, you can be logged into the back end. The other way is to not be logged in, which is how we were. We were not logged in. And we would simply ask them to give us a way to be able to book clients on some type of public form. Whether it was linked to the public or only available if we clicked on it, we needed to be able to access a form where we could input the data, okay? Like, name, phone number, email, address, and maybe payment information and be able to press submit. We needed to be able to access something like that, which is very common. Most booking platforms have that. So it's not a big ask. We needed to be able to do that without having to log in. And when we're able to do that, we're in a situation where the agents can handle it. They could be on 100 different types of random forms that they're not logged into without necessarily knowing the UI or navigating or learning the system of software or after training. Right, they can just hop right into it because it's just fields on a screen. And so you're able to essentially provide what your client is looking for without draining and beating up the brain of your agents that are taking calls for you. So I hope that answers your question, Don. If it doesn't, please let me know. So yeah, that was a very good question, though. Okay, so very quickly, the first question that came in that I mentioned in the email announcing the call was what to do to keep your clients happy. Now, there's a lot of different ways in which to keep your clients happy, but for those of you that don't, serve clients or maybe haven't spent a lot of time in the past serving clients in general in business, or maybe you're just new to the call center spot and you're in a situation where you're wondering what a call center client would be happy about. And the main thing that they're looking for the most part, 98% of the time, is simply getting the calls answered pretty quickly. Um, oh yeah, Don, very happy to help. Very happy to help. Um, and if you got any questions, feel free to keep asking. I'm going to be on here about 15 to 20 more minutes, and I will be here every week. I'm locked in for that. Okay, but as far as keeping clients happy, the main thing that they're looking for 98% of the time is that their call get answered quickly, that the agents are friendly and helpful, and seem like they're upbeat usually in terms of interaction with callers, and that the note taking that they're doing on behalf of the caller and the note that they're sending to the clients after the call is accurate, right? If those three things happen, the call's answered quickly, the note taking is accurate, and the call taker, the agent, it's helpful and nice, then 98% of the clients are going to be happy always, period. There's really not anything else they're looking for. If they had an in-house receptionist, those are the things they're going to be looking for. When they interview people, that's essentially what they're looking for. Now, outside of that, that's it, right? Now, if there are clients, let's say that 2 to 5% or whatever, that are not happy after fulfilling those three things, then, honestly, when you're running the business, you'll be able to determine pretty easily whether or not they're a client that is a good fit for what you're doing. Right? It doesn't happen very often, but there's some clients in every single business that you run, every single endeavor that there is, that just aren't going to be happy no matter what, even if you're doing everything they technically asked you to do, right? And so, your overall average client retention isn't going to be impacted by that small percentage of, let's say, unreasonable clients. But as far as on the call center side, those three things that I mentioned before are going to be the best thing. Now, in terms of increasing retention, maybe having some type of wow factor, that usually comes down to the agent and how well you are in terms of hiring them, like how good your agents are. Hey, Mark, good to see you on here, man. Good to see you. You're starting to be a fixer, and I like that. Any questions, feel free to ask. Now, as far as, the wow factor, there's two ways in which to do that. One is to be slightly more detailed and concise with the notes that you're sending over. And then two is to be even more upbeat maybe than normal when it comes to interacting with the callers. Now, by virtue of this being a premium sort of offering, and the way we run the business model based off of how I teach it in my program, if you do it that way, then your agent will be equipped and working a job that isn't difficult for them, and they'll usually be happier, at least than the average call center agent. And because they're significantly happier and living a way better work life than the typical call center agent, then they will typically be a little bit more chipper on the job. And so when you think about it, over the course of the day, there's people, like in your own life, right? You deal with different agents when you have customer service inquiries or whatever inquiries. You deal with different agents and people on the phone all the time, right? If the agents and people that are taking the calls are happy, then that 10% little shift in intonation and energy, in the willingness to help on that particular call, that does get noted. It stands out pretty easily. Even a 5 to 10% difference is something that stands out in the monotony of what it typically provided, which is the bare minimum, right? And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's slightly less than what is satisfactory when you first hopped on to get whatever you needed done. So, having people that are in the right job, right, which I think is a great job for people, having agents that are a good fit for this and they understand the expectations of what you're doing, are going to be happier and will help increase that wow factor. And then also just a little bit of training in terms of taking good notes that are detailed but still sort of concise, so they're not like an essay every time. That's another way in which to have wow factor, which those two things especially combined increase retention. Okay. Hey, Bill, good to see you on here, man. Okay, so some great questions coming in. Don asked, is there a base price point that I can lean towards when looking to charge customers in the California market? California is a state that in general is more expensive than other states across the country. I tend not to try to limit myself geographically, but California has 40 million people there and I don't know how many businesses. And so you can certainly get to thousands of clients there if you market within that state properly. With that said, people that are in California don't necessarily need to use services that are located in California. So if you're like charging people more just because, the California market, it's not like they don't have access to competitors that are outside that market. So if you are looking to charge customers in the California market and you want to market to them maybe in the sense that they have more money, then you want to make sure that you're angling all of your branding, all of your marketing, all of your copy. You want to give your company the personality of a company that is uniquely equipped to handle the California consumer and caller and company better, right? Maybe they understand the nuances of California, like whatever that is. So if you market yourself as a California type company that serves Californians, then you can sort of justify it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give you a number. Through the course, there is a calculator where you can plug in. One of the bonuses is you can plug in all kinds of different pricing scenarios, and they will spit out what your profitability will look like. You can forecast, how much money you'll have in profit, and it's extremely accurate. I can promise you on that. In terms of however many clients you have and what your price points are. Now, when I went and did my pricing, I just based it off of competitors that were there in the market. You just look up call center companies that exist in this space, and then maybe charge 5 to 10% more. I would say don't charge more than Ruby Receptionist does because they are very expensive, but they're also one of the largest, if not the largest, in the industry, at least in this niche, at over 20,000 clients and counting that I'm aware of. So, with that in mind, I wouldn't necessarily say, I need to charge a certain way because California. Maybe if your agents are located in California, they certainly have a much higher minimum wage and cost of living there. But as far as companies that exist in California, there's nothing that particularly unique about them except that they exist in a state that is more expensive than most other states across the country. I hope that answers your question, Don. Okay, so Mark, your out-of-country agents, are they trained on for 5.9? Oh, so as far as, let me answer this in two parts. Vicky Virtual, the company that I sold, did not have out-of-country agents. As far as my staffing agency, 8 staffing, all Eastern European agents, just about all of them are working for clients that are using 5.9. And so if you sign up for, if you're starting up your call center, you're using 5.9, and you're sourcing agents from us, we make sure that they are, lightly trained up on 5.9 and know how to use it before they start taking calls for you. The beautiful thing is that 5.9 is actually very, very easy on the agent side. It can be difficult, very difficult on the admin side and configuring it. And then once you get it, it's almost like you've learned a new skill. But as far as the agent side, it's incredibly easy, so there's not a lot of training that needs to happen. We had plenty of people, most people, that were able to do everything they needed to do within a half hour of being properly set up on 5.9. So, definitely that's not something that's a big stepping stone or hurdle for an agent that's being onboarding. Hey, Bill, good to see you on here again. You have any questions for me, man? I'm happy to answer. I've got a few other questions that, I intended on answering. Um, okay, so what do you do when you plateau? That was the second of three questions. So there are a lot of situations in pretty much any business where there might be a growth period. You might be doing pretty great. You might be profitable, maybe in the millions or hundreds of thousands or whatever. But you hit plateau either at a certain point or along the way to get to that point. And so specific to the call center space, the virtual receptionist space, what does a plateau look like? Right? What are the things that get you to a plateau and how can you burst through it? Now, generally, the reason a plateau happens is based off of the amount of exposure that your company has to a certain, stream of clients. And then usually the churn that you have, and churn is based off of the number of clients that you lose on a monthly basis or annual basis. Say you have 100 clients and you didn't land any clients over the course of the year and you lost 10 clients, well, you have a 10% annual churn rate at that point. So in order to keep your business the same size, you need to land 10 new clients a year, right? So there's a point at which your churn can match the number of new clients you're getting. And when that happens, typically you're at a plateau. And so, the main thing you have to do is to figure out, where you're getting your client from, which if you're a certain size, but where you're getting your client from, figure out if you have gotten to the point where you've exhausted the potential for that avenue of client getting, and whether or not your churn level can be improved, right? Now, a combination of those things, improving both, one, maybe being able to extract more clients from that same source or that same avenue is great, or decreasing the churn percentage. If you do both of those things, then you're going to break through that plateau literally 100% of the time. If you don't do that, if you can't do either of those things, one way you can sort of do things is you can do a small price increase, and you can do, this affects churn, but do what you can to increase the retention of the client. Another thing that some people do is they'll do small add-ons. So within the number of clients they'll have, they might not increase the price for the exact same services, but they might add on services such as, now we offer live chat, now we offer 24/7, now we offer a mobile app, stuff like that. Okay. Now we offer text, and now we offer email. There's different things that can be sort of a la carte add-on that make it so that across your current clients, the average spend actually increases, which can increase overall revenue. And if the staffing is the same, then it's an automatic increase in profitability. So there's a few things you can do. But again, the main thing to pay attention to is, what is your churn rate? Like, how many clients are you losing over the course of a month or year? And how many clients are you consistently getting from an avenue that you're getting clients, whatever that is? And is there any way to increase the amount of clients that you're getting from that? Okay. Okay, so Mark asked, how does your sales rep at Vicky Virtual get clients? Leads for Vicky Virtual, or was it a hunter salesperson? So at first we tried to do leads. Actually, you know what? We did a combination. So we did leads, and we also did, straight up cold calling. The way we did it was we looked for people that could sort of like do cold outreach and be able to land clients somewhat consistently. We gave them a ramp up period and gave them a small salary. Okay. I won't get any deeper than that on this call, but we cover that in the course as well. Okay. Bill asked, and this is a great question, how would white labeling work when pitching to a bigger company? If you're pitching to a bigger company, you might not want to white label. You could white label, but if it's a big enough contract and you price it right, there's literally no reason to white label. And the reason for that is one of the main things. Okay, there's two reasons to white label. One is you just don't want to deal with employees and all that stuff. If that's the case, then white label. Uh, Two is that you're trying to be a bit leaner in terms of how much money you're spending as you're getting your company off the ground. And so if that's the case and you're landing a bigger company as a client, generally the contract will be large enough, and it depends on how you define bigger. But generally the size of that client will be large enough for you to hire a few people in-house and not white label in the first place. Now it can be, if you're talking, let me be a bit more specific. Now there's plenty of bigger companies that will, be like $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month isn't enough to hire your own agent, but also Vicky Virtual could easily handle that volume. If you bring in someone that's like $10,000 a month, you might as well just hire agents, or you could wait for a company like Vicky Virtual or someone else to do it, but you're going to have to give them a bit of ramp up time. They could probably absorb it pretty easily. I don't know. I don't own the company anymore, but you'll just have to ask them what they can absorb and what they can handle before going out and pitching clients of certain sizes. So if your preference is to white label and just not have to think about fulfilling the call handling, then just make sure whatever white label partner you're considering using, you talk to them about, what the maximum amount of volume they can handle on one given client that you might bring in hypothetically, without there being like a delay in terms of getting that client up and going and running. And then whatever that maximum is, if you're above that for a potential client, then make sure you let that company know. And they, if it's pretty surefire, they will figure out a way to accommodate that, because just like that money to you, that's money for that company as well. So, it's a catch-22 when it's around $1,000 a month. If it's less than $1,000 a month, I wouldn't even worry about it. Around the $3,000 a month, you're getting to the point where maybe you can handle an agent, but also $3,000 a month, I know that Vicky Virtual could just handle that without any lead time. So I hope that answers your question. Now, in terms of pitching, in white label in general, right, I think it's easier to be in a situation where you pitch it as if you're not white labeling in the first place, right? You don't have to tell your client that you're white labeling. You are offering a service that Vicky Virtual offers right now. You're offering the exact same thing. Your pricing would presumably be higher so that you can make a profit on it. But outside of that, it's not like the agents are different or the system that they're on is any different. You're offering the exact same service. And so, I would just pitch it as if you had those agents in-house yourself. So, as far as the angle of attack, I wouldn't change anything. Okay, so Mark said, your staffing company makes it easier to enter into the market with such lower agent cost. 100%. Again, the more times I think about, if I was starting now, I definitely would have, knowing what I know now, right? Not knowing anything, I'd probably go for American. But knowing what I know now, I would probably 100% of the time at least start off with some Eastern European. Depending on how I felt at a certain point, maybe I would do a hybrid style where I have a combination of Americans and Eastern European, but that's not even necessary. You can grow this thing to hundreds of agents without having to have an office, without having them, being like local to you whatsoever. You're not going to have any problems with infrastructure. You're not going to have any problem with a language barrier or communication or people being ghosting you or whatever. and your profitability is going to be so much higher. The amount of profit that I made would have increased by about 15%. I'm sorry. Okay. So I can't remember my exact percentage of profit, but say, because I did a combination of salary and distribution, but say it was about 33%, it would have increased to at least 40 if I was using Eastern European agents as opposed to American agents, probably 45%. And that is a really high percentage profit when it comes to these types of companies. And, maybe you want to pocket all that cash, or maybe you want to take that extra 7 to 12% or whatever it is and should reinvest into growing the company even quicker, right? Either way, there's a lot more opportunity or a lot more option when you're spending less money on payroll while still getting the same level of value and quality of work out of the agents. Okay. So, Mark, that's a very good point. Okay, so I really only got about 10 minutes. So, any questions that you guys have, ask right there. How did you spiff your agents? What do you mean by spiff? Okay, so before I answer that, once I figure out what spiff means, another question I was asked was, how long does it take to land a client? How long did it take to land a client is probably the most loaded question out there. When we first started, we did a pre-launch period. And so day one, we landed multiple clients. We had like 5. By the end of the first week, we had 10. On the number of clients that we gained accelerated as we had more money and resources and more reach in terms of exposure because our content marketing and SEO were better. Now, in terms of the different students that have come through the program, it depends on the amount of effort they're putting into it, how effective they are in terms of, they're like getting themselves out there, and who they're reaching out to, who the target audience is. One of our most successful students, Andy, and even Maurice, I'm going to interview Andy soon, but I interviewed Maurice recently. It took him like 2.5 months to land a client because there was a combination of things. But once he landed his first one, he started landing clients like, I don't know, days after that. And I think it's been 6 months, about 6 months since he landed his first client. Now he's nearing 40. So it took him like a couple months to land one. And then he just started landing clients left and right. So you got to sort of figure out what works best for you. I've also had students like that literally the very first person they talked to, they landed them. The very first 5 to 10 people they talked to, they landed them. Madeline, who I need to interview as well, she was in a situation where before she launched, she had a bunch of people. There was another student that just came on. He had a company or has a company where he's serving a certain industry. And so this company is simply an add-on service. So before he launched, he knew that he had current clients that could come on. And so he actually did a trial thing just to make sure he got all of his, stuff right, like, making sure the agents are doing everything right. And he started off with like 6 clients, I believe. And I won't name him, but he's already added multiple 6 figures of revenue to his bottom line, and he might be 3 weeks to a month in. So that's just how it goes. It depends on your situation. Okay. Bill says, Mark, what do you mean by the word? Oh, spiff. Okay, so spiff means bonuses. Do you mean sales agents? Because in terms of our regular agents, we didn't really do bonuses very often. There was a point where we did gamification, like there would be like incentive for if they did like some extra cool thing, and then there would be a point system. And it worked okay for a while, and then we sort of got rid of it. Honestly, we don't do a lot of bonus type stuff. Essentially, what we ended up doing was, just giving raises, periodic raises. So the first raise would usually happen about 6 months in, and then on the year, and then every year after that, we found that that was just fine. And then also making sure that you're acknowledging people, but you know. Bonuses are not a huge thing when it comes to call center agents in general. Now on the sales side, they get commission, so they got a salary plus commission. So if they landed a client, then they got incentivized based off of that. Again, that's something that we cover in the course. Okay, Bill said, I like the concept of building 200 to 300 clients with another company without having to pay or manage agents until I start hiring. Yeah, I don't think you should ever get to 2 to 300 client white labeling. If you have 300 clients, then you're basically $1 million company. And what's going to happen is if you're white labeling, you might be around 15% profit. But if you're in-house, you're probably around 30% profit. So you're throwing a lot of money away at that point. Now, what I do like is getting to 20, 30 clients with white labeling, which is what Lauren did. And around the 30 client mark, she started transitioning some of her clients to her own internal agent. Okay. Bill asked if there's a way that 5.9 startup fee can be avoided if you go through the course. That's 100% true. So right now, 5.9 implementation fee is $3,500 plus. The smallest one is $3,500. That goes down to zero if you take the course, or if you purchase the course. And it really is exclusive to my students. I said this a while ago. I haven't said it in a while, so I'll say it now. It took me 3 months talking to a bunch of people, doing whatever I could in terms of flexing my credibility. I've had 2 different businesses that use 5.9, and they can see my history with the company, with their software, and it went up to like a vice president that had to like approve it. It was a lot because they had never done anything like that before, and it's only been a year. I don't think they've ever done it before. It's never been done before. And so this is the only way that I'm aware of. And after the agent that we go through, one of the few agents in the entire company that even know if we're doing it and even know what we're talking about. So the point is that if you go through the course, it's like an exclusive thing, and you save more than the cost of the course on 5.9 if you insist on using 5.9. Okay, so it hadn't expired. And yeah, it's been a great relationship. We've got a couple dozen people that have taken advantage of it. Okay, yeah, Mark, whatever I could do to help. I will say 5.9, in my opinion, is still the best system to use. That could change sometime in the future, but the different systems that I used, that was the best one. And so that's why I put in that work for 3 months, like really going hard to make it work, because I really wanted people to be able to use it. And that $3,500 is, takes a lot of people out of contention in terms of being able to get this type of thing started. So end of the day, I was able to create a great opportunity for myself with this sort of business and as a vehicle. And so the only reason I'm sitting here doing this is so other people can have that same opportunity. Okay. All right. And so those 3 questions were answered. You guys had some great questions, which I really appreciate. I have the student call in about 10 minutes, and I usually like to have a quick breather in between that. So I'm going to hop off in 2 or 3 minutes. So before I hop off in 2 to 3 minutes, do you have any final questions while I'm here? And of course, I'll be here every single week. So, if you missed the opportunity this time around, if you're just hopping in, One, this entire live session of 45 minutes and counting is recorded, and it will be immediately available as soon as I end this stream. And two, I'm here every week, so feel free to wait around to next week. And some of the questions that you guys ask in between are the questions that I end up putting in the email in terms of what I'll cover regardless going into the next week. So I appreciate you guys being on here. Any final questions? Oh, Mark, I appreciate that. Yeah, these are two elephants. I've had it on some of the calls before. Basically, there was this local artist in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Got it with the wife on the honeymoon. I had been to Chiang Mai before during my sort of nomad days, and I spent about 3 months there in Chiang Mai. Is a very there's a strong art culture there. And so there's all kinds of boutiques, little random shops where they have these awesome artists. And so I was able to pick this up for the equivalent of $300 US, which, considering how large this thing's 80 inches by 40 inches. I think it's a great price. Okay, so Don asked, would you recommend starting the building block of this business while holding a full-time job? Well, I mean, if you have the ability to quit and spend 10 years getting this thing together and you got the savings for it, then quit and do it because it'll be easier. In terms of doing it while having a full-time job, very possible. There's plenty of students that have done it. I just look up Maurice. I just interviewed Maurice a couple months ago. He still has a full-time job. And he had built this thing to 40 clients and climbing. And so he's, increased his income significantly, and he's been able to keep his job, and he doesn't seem stressed out. So, this is definitely something that can be done with a full-time job. Now, when I started, I had another business, and at one point while running Vicky Virtual, I had 4 other projects going. And so Vicky is the virtual receptionist opportunity. When you first get started, obviously you want to pinpoint your focus, but it is something that can be done in conjunction with other projects or jobs, 100%. I did it. And, now again, we've had many students that have been able to do it and land clients and have success. Okay. One more question if it's asked within the next 30 seconds. And again, I appreciate you guys being on here. We got a nice crowd today. And you know what? A quick announcement. A couple of days ago, like 3 days ago, my site was down for a while. And that was because the server that it was sitting on, it was just down. And there wasn't anything I could do about it. And I apologize about that. There was a couple of people that emailed me that wanted to get access to the course and sign up. They weren't able to do so. Now, the course platform that the actual course content is on was always available and up. But as far as being able to purchase the course, it was down. So if for any reason you tried to access it while it was down for I think a day and a half, which whatever, I'm telling you now that it's now available. Don, it'd be good to see you in the tribe, man. I think you'd be the second Donald in there, so that'd be cool. And I'll go ahead and type the link if you're ready to sign up. The big thing about this is that, and I try to stay away from selling the course, but there is a 30-day money back. So if for some reason the content isn't what you're looking for, then you get 30 days risk free. But knock on wood, we only had one person since I launched this thing in January of last year. We've only had one person ask for a refund, and that was in like the first month of me doing it. And they ended up launching a call center virtual receptionist company anyway, and then asking me to, see if my student could do something with them. So, it happened. But generally, I can stand behind what I created, and different students at this point can stand behind it as well. I feel really good about it. Okay, so guys, you guys are fantastic. Really appreciate you being on here. Um, uh, oh no, Lauren, it's working now. It was down for like a day, but now the site should be working. Wait, let me click right now just to make sure. It is down. Okay, so I am going to check on this right now. Unbelievable. So, this, Lauren, thank you for letting me know that because it was up. Um, that is very frustrating. So, I've been using sort of an independent hosting provider that was an old business partner, and I try to help people out that I know. The course itself is actually on a platform, course hosting platform, someone I know. Um, the actual sign up, yeah, I know the server thing. The actual sign up page does work, so I'm going to type that in here really quickly. Unbelievable. And Lauren, thank you for telling me that. It's a huge thing. Not sure if you hear my dog. I have a puppy, and he makes noise sometimes. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is a sign up page that's like the ha ha ha, Mark. So that page actually worked, and we will get that up and running for the call center cat. I haven't been getting emails for the last few days, and I was wondering why. And we might have to get a new hosting provider. But so, Lauren, thank you for letting me know. I got to hop over to the tribe call. But this link that I just typed in the chat and I'm going to put in the description does work. You can click on that and get instant access to the course. And again, the course itself had never been down. I have it on something called Maestro as well as on Teachable as a backup. So having access to the content has never been a problem. So thanks a lot, guys, again. And again, as soon as I end this stream, it should be available within a few minutes for those that are just hopping in now. And I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next week. Hey, thanks a lot, Don.